The clash between traditional telecom operators and satellite players is intensifying. The fight is on who gets how much spectrum at what price. To give you a sense of both sides, telecom giants like Jio and Airtel argue that Satcom firms should also bid for spectrum in auctions to ensure a level playing field. They say auctions are fairer and prevent Satcom companies from getting spectrum too cheaply, which could give them a competitive edge. Now, but on the other hand, Satcom firms backed by groups like the Broadband India Forum argue that satellite services are different from terrestrial telecom. Now, they say administrative allocation is standard globally for Satcom and that auctions would make it too expensive to provide affordable internet, especially in rural areas. Let's now get in my colleague Aishwarya to explain us this story in greater detail. Aishwarya, please give us more details on the story.
All right, first off, there is a tug of war between the BFI, which is the Broadband India, BIF, which is the Broadband India Forum, versus the COAI, which also represents some of the leading telecom operators in India, like Airtel, Jio, Vodafone, etc. And BIF is backed by some of the tech giants such as Amazon, Google, Intel, Nokia. So these are two of these bodies that represent different companies. Now, what has happened is that there is a tug of war between BIF as well as COAI. COAI had earlier written a letter to the TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, saying that the rules are kind of unfair between terrestrial networks versus satellite communication, global satellite communication companies such as Starlink and Kuiper, who are planning to enter the Indian market. Now, the BIF has written a letter to the Department of Telecommunications Secretary Neeraj Mittal on the 18th of June. BIF has defended TRAI's May 9th, 2025 Satcom spectrum rules that were put out by the TRAI on this particular date. Now, BIF has urged DOT to reject COAI's claims, which COAI had earlier done. They had written a letter saying that this is unfair and needs to create a level playing field between operators such as Airtel, Jio, Vodafone, as well as these global players coming to India. That was their side of the debate. Now, Satcom and terrestrial telecom aren't competitors and support TRAI spectrum pricing is what BIF's side says. They also say that the key for connecting remote and rural areas will come from these global satellite communication companies. Unlike unlike Satcom being the terrestrial networks being urban focused, Satcom is rural focused is what one of their arguments is. What COAI is saying is that COAI claims that TRAI Satcom pricing, which they released on the 9th of May, is unjustifiably low and gives global Satcom companies more benefit as compared to the terrestrial telecom operators. COAI is also saying that Satcom and terrestrial services are substitutable and are competitors. So this will kind of create more competition in the market is what their side of the story is. So far, that's been the argument between and the tug of war between COAI as well as BIF. Both of them urging the telecom department to look into this matter as Starlink and Kuiper, these kind of players, preparing to come to India and hit the Indian market.
Right.